Good morning. Trying to manage the time delay a little bit, so I have my computer set up a little differently. So my name is Red Moon Eagle, and you are with Daily Devotions with Red Moon Eagle. Yay! I hope you all are having a beautiful day, a beautiful morning, a beautiful start to your day. It is Monday, January 8th. We are in the tide of destruction, the winter solstice to the spring equinox. It's a beautiful tide, this is. I'm gonna use the tuning fork to start this morning because I have been enjoying this for about a half an hour now, and it is just delicious. It's just this amazing tone. It's just absolutely delicious. This is the 222 hertz fork from Biofield Tuning. It is her newer fork. I just love how it feels. It's got a longer handle, so I've been actually using it on my face. It's amazing. It just feels so yummy. Just a beautiful fork to use. Okay, we're gonna start in. So we are the Sacred Self-Care deck that I drew in the Blind Tribe. So massage, I am fully relaxed and feel peaceful in my body. Bodies love to be touched. Massages are a vital part of self-care because most people live with some amount of discomfort. Sometimes specific places in our bodies scream out for attention through pain, while others make more subtle requests through stiffness and limited mobility. The journal prompt: what part of your body needs a massage right now? And if you're in the local area, there are tons of massage therapists. So there's always one, and there's a lot of really good ones. So in our animal spirit guide book, the otter came up. Unobstructed joy, playfulness, contentment. Perhaps the most joyful creature within the animal spirit deck, the otter represents absolute bliss. The otter energy is the playfulness of a child available to us at any age. They have a giddiness and reverence for the life itself, without the presence of doubt, worry, or skepticism. Imagine yourself with a little more otter energy. What would life look like? What would it take to bring you there? The otter card begins these questions and wants to transport us to that precious place as soon as possible. The celebration awaits. When in balance, full of love, needs nothing. When out of balance, gloomy, sighs, make silly excuses. To bring into balance, dance, party, or celebration. I love this card. The otter. And our oracle card for today. The spiral. From galaxies in the sky to diminutive shells at the beach, the spiral is found extensively in the natural world. Its shape, in the form of a coiled serpent, has been used since ancient times as a tool for growth and transformation. The spiral is a guide for entering deep into one's consciousness and the unknown, and then extending far out into the heavens. It is crucial to surrender to this journey until the exhausted paradigm dissolves into the depths of the psyche and its energy is released to give birth to a new reality. The invitation is to renew yourself. You must shed your old skin. You have already done this, so do not keep scraping away at the old, but welcome the soft new skin that is starting to grow. Break the habit of working on your faults all the time, and let nature take its course. Know that new skin feels vulnerable and scary at times. Trust the medicine of the spiral as it guides your journey of renewal. The medicine of this card: the spiral announces a descent to the depths and rebirth. Allow nothing to get in the way of this process, as the time is right and forces of nature are supporting you in this endeavor. Using stones, twigs, or yarn, build a spiral on the ground that is large enough to walk through, with at least 3 turns. Enter the spiral slowly. Once in the center, offer the earth the feelings or situations that you no longer want in your life. As you walk back the way you entered, feel recharged for your new journey. Okay, so beautiful cards today, absolutely. So we have, in self-care, we have massage, and the journal prompt of what part of your body needs massage right now. So that's the self-care one. So it's a body work one, right? And then the otter. The otter is playfulness, joy, absolute bliss, right? And then the spiral. And the spiral talks to us about the guide for entering into one's own consciousness and the unknown, extending outside and within. So it's in going within to go outside. It's going outside to go within. And using the spiral medicine to heal and to think through the journey of how you work through each part of your transformational journey. So in these cards, one of the most amazing things that I kind of, glommed onto is this weekend yesterday was a really long day, and my Sundays are normally very relaxing, so yesterday was really a big day. But one of the things that kind of bubbled up over the weekend is this idea that self-care has a tendency to be kind of a trigger word. It's a very popular word. It's a very zingy word. It's become very popular in the last couple years. But it's also a little bit of a shame, fear, disappointment type word, like a triggery word, depending on where you are in your self-reflection, your self-conscious growth part, your interpersonal connection with yourself, your growth within, and your growth without as a human being. And so massage is the body part, right? Taking care of yourself, taking care of your body through touch. And there's a lot of different ways of doing this. This can be, I use tuning forks every morning, right? So that's a type of massage. I'm using vibration to run over my entire meat suit and enjoying the body's absorption of that vibration. And also, I know tons of massage therapists. If you ever want one, just DM me and I will send you a list. Massage is a layered healing technique because it's not just massaging your skin, but it's your muscles and your fascia and your lymph, and massage moves energy and blood and all of the things in our tissues, right? And we have these electrical systems, our meridians. Acupuncturists and acupressurists know about these. And all of these things are connected into our skeletal system in one way or the other. And we are a very complex machine. And for everything that we know with science, there's more that we can learn. And the massage is just as important as going to your doctor and getting blood work and getting checkups, except this is the maintenance part. And one of the things in our Western culture that we have not, until recent years, we have not talked about this. Our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, and for many, many thousands of years, especially from Western heritage, there's not a lot of, where we've lost the knowledge of self-care in a maintenance way. And my grandparents were a very good example of people that, unless you're broken, you don't go to the doctor, right? Because doctors are expensive, or they're kooks, or they're just going to give you weird stuff. And there's a trauma response in that language. And one of the paradigms that I really want to encourage people to stop thinking of is that doctors or healthcare professionals and all different kinds are not there just for the crisis. They are there to help maintain and help you keep your body healthy. And just because you're not sick doesn't mean you're healthy, right? So learning the language of what self-care means, and massage is one of those. These are healers, these are medicine workers, these are people who have trained to work on the body, and some really good ones use many modalities, including somatic work, including craniosacral, including acupuncture and acupressure, and myofascial, which I call crystalline healing. Many of these techniques are medicine they're healing and they're preventative medicines. Not just for when you're in pain, not just for when you don't feel good. So there's this, okay? So there's the massage. And then these two cards I feel kind of go together. So the spiral image is one of those that is extraordinarily sacred to me. Many years ago, I went through a really awful depression. It was really overwhelm, and what I didn't know at the time was autistic and ADHD overwhelm, and I went through a burnout because I had gone through college with 2 little babies and went through a student teaching experience that ended up being extraordinarily traumatic. And also, I had been promised a job, and then they, at the last minute, said, "Oh, we're not going to give you the job after all." So I had a huge burnout experience. And when that happened, I had a box of journals that I owned, and I was just in a really bad place, and I burnt them up in a barrel in my backyard. And interestingly enough, one of the journals that I burnt up, I spent an afternoon looking through and rereading every single word. And on the front of the journal was this huge spiral that I had drawn. And I had drawn on this spiral, and I had written notes all the way around the spiral. And that journal, I don't remember everything that was written in it, but one of the things that I do remember that's very vivid in my memory is I was working through a transformation of understanding of the difference between me, the entity, this spiritual entity that was living inside this physical manifestation. And I was working through the transformation of understanding what that meant to me, and the transformation of the confusion of the world I was living in versus the experiences that I knew, but I didn't know how to explain, nor did I understand why other people didn't have these problems. And it was written, and I had so many drawings in this journal of the spiral image. And the spiral has always been a sacred image for me. It's always been a deeply resonant image. And there are a lot of things that resonate with me in different levels, but the spiral has always been the one that I come back to. And when I do free draw, when I do automatic writing, when I am bored and taking notes from a class when I was in school, I have tons of journals over the years that in the columns, like in the edges, there are cubes and squares and diamonds and 3-dimensional pyramids, those are the sacred geometry shapes. Oh, and spheres. So spheres, squares, diamonds, and pyramids, and cubes. Those are all images that I have, for ages, drawn in my boredom. Right? When I'm drawing things to work on what's in the mind pan or to focus on something, and the spiral is one of those images that comes back because it is both a flat spiral, but it is also a 3-dimensional spiral. And that spiral follows often that cone shape, that diamond shape, that 3-dimensional shape that winds down and goes up. And I have drawn these for years. So the transformation process has always been the spiral for me, even since I was a little kid, before I had ever heard any stories about the spiral. And one of my favorite games that I have done with students, I don't think I've done it in a really long time, but I did a class that I did several times over the years, many years ago. I think it's been at least 20 years since I've done this class, which is building a spiral in a space, just like the book indicates, and having people walk the spiral and do a meditative exercise while they're doing it. So I do the speaking as the person walks the spiral, and then once they're in the center, they finish the meditation in the middle of the spiral, and then they walk back out. I'm almost thinking I should share that with some people. That would be a cool exercise because it's fun. This is where the otter comes into play. When I used to teach this particular exercise in one of the classes I taught many years ago, I would have, it depended on how many people are in the class. The one class that I had almost 9 people in the class. So I had everybody bring rocks and string and their favorite like security thing. Is that like a blanket or a pillow or a sweater or something that they find security with? And we build a spiral for each person, but each person in the group gets to contribute to the spiral. And at the center is always the person that's going to walk the spiral is their security thing. So if it's a blanket or a stuffed animal or whatever it is, so that we work on the joy of rediscovery of their sacred thing and what that means to them. And it is a exercise of interpersonal with self, the transformation process. It is an exercise of discovery of self, but also discovery of self with others to share what some people might think of as the inner workings of what's going on, right? And it is a self-care thing, and it's a fun game. It can be really heavy, but I've always tried when I've taught it with a group of people for it not to be a heavy thing. I've always tried to make it a fun thing. I've also, when I taught, I did an art class once with a bunch of teenagers. And this was a group of high-risk youth. They were really struggling with something. There was a very big tragedy that had happened in their community, in their age group, community I lived in. And we did a spiral art exercise. And it was an English class, so it's not like art was the class. And I had them all draw a spiral, and I showed them how to do it 3-dimensionally. So I drew it up on the board. Yes, chalkboards. I had a chalkboard. We drew it on the chalkboard, and then they did it in class with me. And then they used color, and they used words, and I gave them a bank of words that they could play with, and they could add other words that they wanted to spiral in their emotions. So all of the wonderful things about the person that they had lost, this tragic thing that had happened, and spiraling in all of their memory words that went with this person so that they could spiral in. And then on the back side of the paper, they drew the spiral again. I had some kids that did 2 pieces of paper, but they spiraled back out. So they did the second spiral in a different direction, and then they used words of how they're going to remember this person. So the opposite direction. So it's all the things that in the world that they remember and their feelings and all of that grief. And then in the other, how they are going to come out of that grief and learn and take the joy of those experiences, and how are they going to use that in their life. And it was a magnificent experience for these kids, and it was a joyful outcome of an exercise, and they were able to do it together as a community to share their stories. And they broke up in their little groups and their tables, and they did their thing, but these pieces all went up on the bulletin board, and they were all completely very proud of these things going up on the bulletin board. And it was one of the things that it was up for a couple months. I just left it up until the kids said that they were ready for it to come down. So the spiral is a very powerful healing exercise, and it can be used in a lot of different ways. So I encourage you to look at the spiral in your own life with joy, with playfulness, with finding the inner child of growing through whatever the spiral is showing you, and shedding the yesterday and moving into tomorrow with the understanding that it doesn't have to be a bad thing and it doesn't have to be scary. And yesterday's work of the spiral, of working through whatever it is that you're working through, doesn't mean you have to go back there, but allowing yourself to spiral through whatever is that you're holding on to that's holding you back, and use the otter energy, that playful energy, to work through it. I hope you all have a beautiful day today. I hope that this wasn't too of a heavy topic for you for a Monday, but it is a deep one, and I'm really glad that these cards came up. I think this week is going to be really busy for me. And I am so full of joy, using the otter. I'm so full of joy that I have the privilege to be able to bring with you and share with you daily devotions every day, Monday through Friday, when I can, most days. And we are in the tide of destruction. And many times between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, people struggle with mental health, self-care. They struggle with the darkness. Go get your vitamin D levels checked. Go to your doctor, go to your primary, go to urgent care, say, I don't feel good, can I have my vitamin Ds checked? Get your vitamin D levels checked, because most people are low in vitamin D this time of year. It's the darkest time of the year, and some people maintain pretty good till about the holidays, because the holidays keep them moving forward and they have the activities of hanging out with friends and family, and they get excited about that. But the post-holiday doldrums are a thing. They just are, because you are now several months into less light and less vitamin D production in your body. Go get your vitamin D levels checked and take vitamin D. Just taking a supplement over the counter, vitamin D is one of those that you can get too much. So it's important to get your levels checked, take vitamin D, and then get your levels checked again. See how much is optimum for you. Some people need a lot of vitamin D for their bodies to be optimum, and some people don't. So get it checked. You're not going to psychically know whether or not it's a good amount or not. Go get your levels checked. Have a beautiful day, my friends, and I will see you in prayer. Blessed be. Changed it. Is that it?